Hello, my name is Katrine and I'm representing the group that have worked within the domain of spare time. So as every other group, we started out with a future Brekstad in mind, but we ended up with a more universal solution. We have not made a location-based service, as we know that many of the others have done, but we have made a product concept that we believe is meaningful, not only for the people of Brekstad, but for everyone. So like we all know, Brekstad is changing. Within a few years, you will expand rapidly, and the goal is, of course, that Brekstad will continue to be a happy and good place to be. Urbanization and urban qualities have been mentioned in relation to this upcoming expansions, and we believe that these are key aspects that you have to address to be an attractive alternative for commuting from Trondheim. But at the same time, we think that a main reason for leaving the city and coming to beautiful Brekstad is the romantic ideal of a small town life. Being close to the nature, a tight community, and healthy, local, organic pancakes, homemade, of course, with self-grown strawberries. And this is not only my take on the ideal life, but it's a trend we see all over Norway. Environmentally healthy or environmentally friendly lifestyles are in focus. Health is status. Local organic groceries are delicacies. And småbruk is actually the most searched word at finn.no. So this romantic idea of a life in the countryside will set expectations for the newcomers, and maybe unrealistic expectations about how they will spend their spare time here. Because sometimes you just need to relax on the couch watching a bad soap opera or playing with your children inside because it's raining and you don't bother to get wet. And sometimes you just don't have the energy to make anything than a frozen pizza for dinner or even for lunch. And this contrast to the ideal life you wanted to live, and that apparently all your friends do live based on their numerous Facebook updates about trips to the top of a hill and Instagram photos of healthy, local, organic, homemade pancakes with self-grown strawberries. And this contrast at least make me feel unhappy and leave a guilty feeling of not spending my precious spare time on something useful. So this is what we want to change. We want the people of Brekstad to feel that their time is well spent. And we started out with ideas on how to change what people do so that they will use their time on something they really want. But after a while, we figured out that this was really just moralizing and adding up to all the expectations from the society. So instead, we want not to change what people do, but how they feel about what they do. So one of the key aspects in how people feel that their time spent has been is the feeling of control they had over the situation and the feeling of the control over the time. So if they had control over the time, they feel that they have done something good and useful. But on the other hand, we argue that if you get lost in the world around you, get lost in this activity, it is because you have been engaged and involved. So our idea is based on the assumption that when you lose track of time, when you don't have to look at your watch all the time, it is a sign that you have had fun, you have been in an activity that you really enjoy. In other words, when you lose track of time, you have used the time on an activity you really like. Okay, one more time. It's really important, so that's why I said it. Okay, our concept is a wristwatch, really hard to say, that registers when you have looked at the time. So we will come back to the practicalities later, but it will set a mark here around the clock face to point out when you have looked at it. We believe that to have the insight in when you have looked at your watch will give you new perspectives on how your spent time has been. It is obvious that checking the time is not a bad thing in every situation, and that not looking at your watch is always means that you had fun. But that's why a key aspect here is that you yourself have to interpret this information and reflect upon what this means for you. So this concept is not limited only to the domain of spare time, but it is, it shows the value of time in everyday situations. We have tested this concept, and the feedback was really positive. We gave the testers 12 hours, and we asked them to register when they looked at the watch. And what is really interesting here is that you can actually see how Sverre's day has been like if you look at his watch. So over here, like approximately 1 o'clock, he's about to take a lunch break. And he's really a bit concerned, okay, now, is it now? He's looking at his watch all the time. And then you see the break over there, and then he starts working again. A bit unconcentrated in the beginning, before he comes into a really good workflow, actually. And the clock is approaching 5, and we all know that feeling. But if we compare this to Lene's watch, we have a really different story. She, after using our concept, she realized that she always looks at her watch when the break is about to end. So we see that different people use our concept differently. And it is not a judgmental wearable, but it is you yourself that has to interpret this information for yourself. But how is this product going to work? Our suggestion is a wristwatch that feels like a normal watch, but has a black clock face. In order to actually see the time, you have to twist this ring around, and that will register at that you want to look at it. It will reveal the clock face and will register with a dot on the bezel around the electronic bezel. This prototype shows how it could work. Here are 2 layers of glass, and when we twist the top one, they will align and the light will let through. So the fun thing about this super awesome, high-tech, really functional prototype is that it's actually made out of 3D glasses from our local cinema. And nowadays, of course, many people use their phone for checking the time. So a natural expansion to the concept is to make an app. The digital watch will register when you have interact with your locked phone, it's placed on your lock screen, and make a point around it. So it will work approximately the same way as its physical counterpart. The nice thing about an app is that we have taken advantage of the GPS functions in a smartphone, and we have added this map so you could see where you were when you looked at your watch. And we think it will add interesting information. So, our concept will make you more aware of how you spend your time. It will invite you to reflect upon your own time use and maybe get rid of that guilty feeling. So it may not help you make more of those healthy, local, organic, homemade pancakes with self-grown strawberries, but it will help you gain more perspectives and new perspectives on what time well spent is for you. Thank you.